Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Your weekend is not complete without the First Lady of New York Radio. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone, to the Joan Hamburg Show. We do this every Sunday, starting at 2 o'clock. And I thought you needed a little extra treat. So I'm indulging myself. I invited actor Michael Zegan, who plays the on and off again husband in the marvelous Mrs. Masel, everyone's favorite TV show. Michael is going to be here telling all. We're in season 4, and I'm very excited about it because we don't know what's going to happen. They're still shooting it. We've got season 5 to look forward to, and then they say, that's going to be the end of the marvelous Mrs. Masel. Also, I think you're going to like hearing Isaac Mizrahi, one of the bright lights in our town. And Isaac is about to open at the Cafe Carla. For the whole pandemic, it's been closed, and this is a big deal. He's one of New York's amazing characters, truly a Renaissance man. So I'm inviting you to join me today. The Joan Hamburg Show. You're going to have a good time. And thank you so much for being part of our audience. Everything right now, straight ahead.
The First Lady of New York Radio.
This is Joan Eats.
I've told you in the past about one of my favorite cheese stores, Murray Cheese. Have you ever been there? It's really good. And they have various locations in and around the city. And I send gifts from there quite often. But they're doing something interesting. For many, many years, a grown-up lifetime, people would come to New York and go to the Carnegie Deli, famous, on 7th Avenue. And everyone would gather there and have pastrami and corned beef and roast beef and whatever. All their favorite stuff. So now I hear that Murray's Cheese, which is considered to be among the best cheese shops in the city, is now carrying 4 of everyone's favorites from the old Carnegie Deli. And I was really surprised. It's on their website, murrayscheese.com. They ship all over the country, and listen to what you can get. 12 ounces of pre-sliced salami or pre-sliced corned beef, that's $28. Chocolate babka, that's a cake if you've never had it, or a cinnamon babka, which I actually like, $20 each, and amazing. So if you're in Manhattan, just know that the Carnegie Deli products are also available at Murray's Cheese from 3 New York locations. They're Greenwich Village, they're Grand Central, and Long Island City. And the prices at the actual stores are a little less than the online. And I was told that the cake, the babka, which is $20 if you ship it, is $13.99 at the store. And the pastrami and the corned beef, which online are $28, are $20 here. Now, the Carnegie is history in terms of the store, but the owner's daughters and granddaughter own it, and they're really resurrecting the magic of this place, and they hold the same standards that earned the Carnegie its name, and they're providing the New York deli experience in your own home. Now, people love delicatessen. My husband grew up, his idea of heaven was a corned beef or a pastrami sandwich. And of course, he always loved the Carnegie Deli. One sandwich was enough practically for the whole family. But now you can go to Murray's Cheese, which has gorgeous cheese and a place to send a gift, and pick up this really Class A product. So, you know what? If you're a foodie or that was part of your childhood or you love that stuff, check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it. All right, everyone. We've got a lot of Joan Hamburg show today. You know, we do this every Sunday at 2 o'clock. And I'm so happy you're joining us. Welcome always. More ahead.
Taking you behind the curtain. It's the Joan Hamburg Show. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
One of our great pleasures in watching TV has been joining the Masel family, following Midge, following her on and off again husband, her parents, his parents, the children, the whole army. We love it. And it's become part of our lives. And Michael Zegan is the guy, do we love him? Do we hate him? We're already in a lot of seasons. Is he a villain? What's going to happen to him? He's got a girlfriend, but then Mrs. Masel, the amazing Mrs. Masel, one of our favorite TV series, she's got guys too. So, Michael, it's been a lot of fun to watch you come of age from the bridegroom in the beginning to a guy who's sort of finding himself and evolving. That's the joy of television series.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. I agree. He's definitely evolved over the years.
I know, and you've played a lot of characters, too, that some of them are villains, some of them aren't. As the husband of the amazing, you're a different kind of a villain. And you go through, which a lot of guys go through. You know, you're married to a woman who suddenly starts taking off in a career that you thought was your career. And you're dealing with her, you're dealing with babies, you're dealing with your parents, and who are you? So not easy.
Well, he's dealing with it at a time when that was sort of socially unacceptable for a woman to take off the way she does, and for him to have to take care of the children. So I personally don't see him as a villain. Maybe in the first season, in the first couple of episodes, I sort of I wasn't really sure who he was yet.
He was, right.
So perhaps I might have leaned into that a little bit. But he's not the villain. It's clear that he's just a human being and he has flaws and he's made mistakes. And like I said, I still don't know where he's going. And that's exciting to me.
And that's great for us. That's what.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
That's what we love. And you've certainly done a lot of prominent TV stuff. Boardwalk Empire, that was a great one. The Walking Dead, a lot of them. So I'm just curious. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say I've been lucky. I've been very lucky that I was able to partake in these amazing TV shows that I was a fan of, before I was on them, which is so bizarre. It's like the movie Pleasantville. It's like I watch a show and then all of a sudden I'm on it. But it's maybe it drives me. Maybe it drives me during the audition or something like that. I want to be a part of it. I want to be in that world. I want to act with those actors, those characters. So it's just fun.
And I also have the feeling that you get the whole family part of the show. That what an important role they play, whether they're on a lot or on a little. Those people, we still need to be there. And they provide a balance, which we love as watchers and viewers.
Yeah, and and the first time I read the script, the pilot, when I was auditioning for it, I felt a kinship. I just felt like, I knew these people. I kind of grew up with these people. Not my family. It's not necessarily my parents. They're not really like the Masels or the Weissmans for that matter. But I just got it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I was brought up. Maybe it's what I was introduced to in terms of comedy when I was a kid, and I just felt like I could be a part of this world.
When you were a kid, Michael, did you want to be an actor? Was that something, you grew up not on Central Park West. It wasn't a big New York City grow up. So where did acting?
I'm from New Jersey, so I grew up I'm from Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is like 40 minutes outside the city.
Right. Good.
And both my parents are from the Bronx, and they're not actors by any means. They're not in the arts, but they support the arts, and I grew up, going to theater. I whether it was Broadway, we used to always go to Broadway shows, which I loved. Whether it be musicals or straight plays, and then there was also, my mom used to take me to children's theater all the time, which was just, Pinocchio or Snow White or stuff, stuff like that, that they used to do at community theaters in New Jersey. And then my uncle Bernie used to take me to all these avant-garde shows in the city. I remember going to see like a one-man show in some guy's apartment. And so I just had a very well-rounded education in terms of the arts. And I don't know what it was, but I just sparked to it. And I remember from the time I was in kindergarten, I wanted to be an actor. And I told my parents that I wanted to be an actor. So it was something that, I don't necessarily think they wanted me to become an actor, but they definitely didn't discourage it. And they sent me to acting classes every weekend, which I loved. And, so they supported it to an extent. Right. And obviously now they love it and they can tell all their friends.
And of course, and it's a show that they probably love. I mean, everyone can enjoy this. And
Definitely.
Fortunately, right, there's going to be another season. We're in season 4, but there's going to be another season 2. So we really don't know what's going to happen. But
yeah, we've already started shooting season 5, which is going to be our last season. It's funny because it's kind of confusing right now, even for me. It's like season 4 hasn't even really come out yet. Right, I mean, there's the first 2 episodes, but the rest hasn't come out. And there's so much content, that you guys are gonna see, and we're already into season 5. So it's and the scripts for season 5 are amazing. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I have a good feeling that we're going to really stick the landing at the end. It's bittersweet, but so. Everything comes to an end, and I've known about this for a while. And so
it's okay.
Again, it's bittersweet, but I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm just going to, live in the moment.
Well, which is what you have to do. You've been in major TV shows. And, after every ending is a new beginning. I love that the show is set in the 50s and 60s. This is the New York that was such an exciting time. So it's sort of reassuring when we see it to think our city is going to come back. It may not be like that, but it's going to come back. And even though the show takes place in that time, most of the people are characters except for Lenny Bruce. There are not a lot of people that people would know or have read about. When I was a kid, just out of college, my first job was for a magazine. It was in a hotel in New York City, and they gave Lenny Bruce and a photographer called Ouija, a famous New York photographer, permission to sleep on the floor after they both worked all night of this magazine penthouse. And my first job was to wake up Lenny Bruce every morning, shake him and make him get up and get out. So I got the biggest kick out of you guys bringing him back in The Amazing Mrs. Masel.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. And Luke Kirby plays an amazing Lenny Bruce, but I wonder did you ever really get to know him? Was he, other than waking him up in the morning, did you get to talk to him?
I got to talk to him, but I didn't appreciate at 20 or 19, who Lenny Bruce really was. And I went to see him at one point, and everyone had said, "Oh, you can't go to that. It's disgusting." It compared to what we see today. And over the years, he was mild. He was very devoted to his mother. He was a good guy. He was really a good guy.
The fact that he was a part of this show was really a selling point for me when I read the pilot, because I've always been a fan of Lenny Bruce. I had seen, the Dustin Hoffman movie years and years ago, I think when I was a kid. And my uncle had also bought me a few of his records. And so I definitely knew Lenny Bruce, and I knew his story, and I knew his tragic story. And so that was something that I just thought was so cool, and that I thought really made the difference with this show. I thought it was definitely a selling point for me.
Yeah, without question. But I'm curious, for all of you who have just joined us, I'm talking to one of the great actors in New York, a man who's worked a lot and who plays the marvelous Mrs. Masel's husband. Yes, husband, no husband, but they both can't seem to get rid of each other. Now, you started working, you went to where? Did you go to Vassar?
No, close. I went to Skidmore College in upstate New York in Saratoga Springs.
Right, I know Skidmore, and it has a good acting too. But when you came out, did you start working right away? Because you've done a lot of work. I
did. I was, like I said, I was very fortunate. I came to the city and pretty much started working immediately. That didn't mean that I didn't have side jobs. I needed to actually make a living and pay rent and whatnot. And I did start auditioning, though. I was able to find a manager when I was still in college, which was really important. Despite the fact that it was like a little kids management company, I was probably the oldest person there at 22, but I looked really young, and I started doing a character on the David Letterman show. I was playing Dwight the Troubled Teen, which was really, it was fun. And it was an amazing experience, doing this live television on this legendary late night show. And Dave really liked me apparently, and would bring me back every week to do this like little kind of silly little sketch. But I mean, that silly little sketch was able to, pay my rent and afford me the ability to eat. Yeah.
And
so
starting at the top.
Well, I don't know if that was the top, but it was something, it was something. It made me feel like I can do this. And it was definitely a push in the right direction. But yeah, it was amazing. I got to like hang out with all these celebrities while they waited in the green room, and I would just like spark up conversations and try to glean information, and it really was something special. And I look back on it fondly, and from there I just kept plugging away, and luckily it all worked out.
And it worked, and each one has been absolutely terrific. By the way, you can see, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Prime Video on Fridays. And I know you guys are shooting all over New York. In fact, someone called me today to say that they were on 80-something Street on the West Side, and there was the amazing Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, well,
so they're doing that.
We're shooting all over New York. We should, as you can see in the first episode of this season, we shot in Coney Island, which was pretty special.
I know,
1950s Coney, or 1960 Coney Island, and it's just with this show they just go all out. And I mean, there was hundreds of extras. Everybody's dressed to the nines, and it was supposed to be summer, although I think we shot like at the end of April, so it was a little cold, or maybe it was the beginning of May, but it was cold nonetheless. And everybody just stuck it out, and all the background actors were wearing short sleeves, and nobody's complaining. And it was just beautiful. It was just it's a gorgeous shot.
Right. And you're such a part of the city when you do that and work in shows like this. It's, it gives us such a wonderful look at, and the city is magical, and it was magical during those times. Is the cast?
I'm sure, yeah.
Well, you've done, Joel, so many different TV shows. Is this one different in terms of your relationships with the cast?
We're a very tight-knit group. There's no egos, there's no arguing. We really do love each other, and I think none of us take this show for granted. It's hard to hang out with people these days because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID.
And, but back before COVID, we always tried to get dinner as a cast, and we still do, but it's just a little more difficult right now. And but we do have, we've got a text chain, a group text, and we really do love each other. I mean, I don't think I have experienced anything like this. Not that I've ever experienced anything bad. I really have been very fortunate with the cast that I've been a part of, and I've never experienced any animosity towards each other from anybody. So I guess and I've heard horror stories. So I don't know. It's just never happened on anything I've worked on that I can remember. But yeah, we do love each other, and I did a play recently, and a bunch of the cast came to see it, and then we went out to dinner afterwards. And I was just thinking how sad it was that this wasn't going to happen. Of course we can get together, but just working with these people, as a group, it's not going to happen, after this, most likely. So it was a little sad, and I am going to be sad to see them go. But like I said, I'm just living in the moment, and I'm not taking anything for granted. And no, and we're just going to do it and see it through, and I'll have some great memories.
Right, and take us all along for the ride.
Absolutely.
I mean, we wonder how you feel about your wife, ex-wife, whatever it is at the moment, and her relationships with men, and you still in this series have a girlfriend. So we don't know how we feel about all this because, even the kids.
It's very complicated.
Right? Everyone wants their parents to get back together or people they know. So here we're looking at you and thinking, I don't know, what's he going to do? What's going to happen? Are they going to get back together? Because now you seem to be in a fairly good place for the moment.
For the moment, yeah.
Right, just
we'll see.
For the moment. And you've got the comedy club, you've got a lot of stuff, but are you going to hold on to it? So we got to watch it. Anyway, I'm excited for you. We love the show.
You.
We love all of you in it. And continued success and good luck. And don't forget, guys, you can see this show Fridays on Prime Video and enjoy it. Congratulations. We'll talk again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care. Please. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to The Joan Hamburg Show on WABC. More after this.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
The First Lady of New York Radio, Joan Hamburg. Entertaining and informative. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone, to the Joan Hamburg Show. And we need cheerful. And who can be more cheerful than the one and only Isaac Mizrahi, who is doing something amazing. The Cafe Carlyle, an absolutely major part of New York cabaret, of New York history. It's been closed, like so many things. But it is opening with Isaac coming in for 2 weeks a brand new show called In Person, March 1st through March 12th. And I have been, whenever Isaac is at the Carlisle or major places, I go to see him. So this is really exciting. Guys, we haven't been most places in over 2 years. So tell me, Isaac, my dear, how did all this happen? You've been planning it for how long?
Well, goodness, I've been dreaming about it for, I don't know, like 2 years or something, right? And last year we did some virtual shows from the Carlisle, right, without an audience,
right?
And they were great, pay-per-view on Broadway World, etc. But this is what we all dream of, is like being in front of people in that room again, that room which, I don't know about you, but I worry about that room only because it's New York City, darling, and we have very few precious things left. And this is really one of them. And, and it's been out of commission now for really like about 2 years. So this is exciting for me, really exciting. And I have to say, Joan, it's emotional, I don't know how I'm going to make it through that night without kind of, cheering up a little bit or a lot, right?
Well, but we need you to do that because we're going to be the same way. And you've got great jazz group with you,6
Oh, yes, the greatest. Ben Walter and his boy, Ben Walter and his guys are all there, 6 musicians altogether, and 7 including me. So
that's right. And everyone who knows Isaac, well, now we know that Isaac is not only a designer, but he's an actor. He sings. He's a host. He dances. He did a great documentary years ago.
And I have dogs, by the way. Yeah.
Right. And he loves to eat. I don't mind the dog. What kind of dog do you have?
I have 2 dogs. I have one who is a genius and she never speaks, and the other one who's kind of a monster and he speaks a lot. So that's who you're hearing, Dean, and Kitty is the other one. But
well, I have Annabelle, who speaks constantly in a loud bark all the time. She wants to make sure that we hear her. But Isaac, you have worn so many hats that it's hard to believe. And I remember you telling me you were just a kid even. Well, your mother, I remember a story you once told me that your mother gave you a sewing machine. What, when you were 10 or something?
My dad there were sewing machines in the house because he was a manufacturer of children's clothes, and so there were loads of sewing machines in the basement, and he taught me how to sew. He finally I bought my own first sewing machine when I was about 12, which he advised me upon, and he taught me how to use. And then, as I got better and better, I adapted to, the amazing sewing machines that he had there in the house, like these fabulous kind of power machines, these very, very powerful machines, right?
Right,
but that's how I learned to sew. Yeah, that's how I learned how to sew. Yeah.
And you started making clothes then, right, as a kid?
I did. But before I did that, I did female impersonation, darling. And that was not exactly a source of pride in
not in the neighborhood
when I was 12. Yeah, exactly. It was not a source of pride. My parents would, and so I think that's why I subverted my desire to go into show business. I went into fashion because I thought it was just going to be, and I was right. I what I really needed was to sort of get out of that environment because it really wasn't, this Orthodox Jewish environment, which it really wasn't a good place for me. And so, I was plotting my escape and plotting how I could make money enough to get an apartment and leave and get out of there. And the easiest thing, it seemed much easier for me to make money as a design assistant or whatever, a gopher. I had a million connections. In New York, it's all about the garment business, right? And everybody knows 15 people in the garment business. So I was right about that. It was I went to Parsons. I kind of got the best job that was offered in my class. I got this job for Perry Ellis, And darling, you remember what Perry Ellis was in 1980
Of
when I
course.
was working there. He was, and it was the greatest job. And I was so lucky. And he introduced me to all these people. And anyway, it led me down this trajectory. And I'm not bad at fashion. I'm good at it. But I'm better at singing. I'm telling you, I'm better at telling jokes. And I'm really excited that I'm kind of on this incredible, like, sort of quest to do more and more shows. I have a fabulous, like, new booking agent. I'm really excited about what's going on in my life. It's like, forget about Act 2, darling. It's like Act 1. I did Act 2 already. Act 2 was fashion. Now I'm doing Act 1. I mean it. This is true.
But that takes, too, a lot of courage. I mean, you started in fashion. You had trunk shows. Yeah. You did great. You were in major stores like Bergdorf's. And back in your head, you kept thinking, I'm a performer. I've got to be
When
heard.
am I going to do this? When am I doing this? Like, when is this happening? And, and it's taking me a little while just because I feel like, I'm not gonna. I don't really, honestly. I think maybe people are a little slightly confused. They go, wait a minute, I'm going to hear this guy sing and tell jokes. How is that possible? But I think more and more people now. I swear to you, Joan, it's what's really exciting is I get more people stop me on the street and go, I saw your show and it was great. I saw it in Philly. I saw it in Princeton. I saw wherever it is on Play. I saw your show and it was great, as opposed to, I buy your clothes or something on QVC or whatever it is. That's also very thrilling, I have to tell you, but it's a little bit more meaningful now when people stop me on the street to tell me they've seen my show. The other day I was at the Candy Kitchen, our beloved Candy Kitchen here in Bridgehampton.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And this wonderful young woman came up and said, I was expecting to say, I just bought a T-shirt on QVC. She said, I saw you at Bay Street and you were hilarious, blah, blah. And I thought, how great, it just makes me feel so great that I'm actually making this kind of headway, I mean it. Act 1, darling, Act 1, curtain going up on Act 1.
Well, you know what? It is amazing because certainly fashion has huge appeal for so many people, but in your heart, as good as that is, and of course you're still doing it, and everyone still knows you as that, it's Isaac, the song and dance man, the entertainer,
I'm not kidding.
the actor.
It's a crazy
It's your
thing.
heart.
It's a crazy thing. It is. When I was a kid, I've been going to psychics my whole life, right? Like literally. I started when I was.
We always love that.
Right? We did. We've always liked it. Perry Ellis introduced me to this wonderful psychic, and I've been going to her. I was going to her, and then I went to another one. Anyway, I had this fabulous tarot reading. And the final card that I picked was this kind of crazy, like, singing, dancing guy on stage. It was like they were like these cards. They were Mexican tarot cards, which is a little bit different from other decks. But this guy was on stage with a top hat and a cane, singing, right? And he said, darling, this is your fate. I don't know what you think you're doing on earth, but, until you get on stage and you do these songs and this is what you're going to do. And really, that stuck with me. And so many psychics have told me that. So I'm just kind of waiting for the payoff here. I'm just waiting, darling.
It's happening. It's happened, and it's continuing to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Isaac, to keep up with you is a full-time job because
I like it.
Who are you today? Where are you today? And by the way, Isaac has also done costumes for Broadway musicals. I mean, there is nothing that this man can't do except stop his dog from barking.
Exactly.
You name it.
And by the
he
way,
does it.
Can I just say something, darling? I'm going to tell you kind of like the best news of all, which is that I lost about 15 pounds, darling. Okay, like you know what this means to us because I mean we were
all in Weight Watchers together.
We go way back in Weight Watchers.
Right.
Yes, we were, my dear.
No secrets with us.
No, exactly. We're old buddies, the Weight Watchers buddies. But I lost 15 pounds. That is something, right? Like that is really.
Tell me how.
Okay, can I tell you how? I did Weight Watchers coupled with intermittent fasting, where you can't eat for 16 hours a day.
That's a big deal.
Darling, I'm telling you, it works great. And then the other thing that I have to say, this is the best advice I can give anyone on a diet. Don't weigh yourself. Never weigh yourself. I weigh myself only when I go to the doctor, and
Every day.
Weigh yourself. Do not do it. It's not good because it's just discouraging for the most part. It's so slow and incremental. If you just stop weighing yourself, right? And then your clothes start to fit a little bit better, and then you start feeling better, and you have more energy, and then all of a sudden you get on the scale like 6 months later, and you lost 6 pounds, and you're like, okay, I'll take 6 pounds, and then you get on the scale a year later, and you lost 10 pounds, or a year and a half later, like in my case, I lost 15 pounds. It took me a year and a half, darling, and I'm still want to get back. I want to get back to a size 4. I'm not exactly. I'm not satisfied with. I think I'm about a 10 right now. I'm about a 10 or a 12.
But that's okay. Listen, I was telling someone who was asking. Well, but for most people, it's not boring. It's the way we all live. And she was talking about cleaning her closet. She said, do you get rid of stuff? I said, well, I have a secret closet where the clothes I wore in Barnet College go back a lifetime. I still have them because I'm waiting to fit into them. Now, that is never going to happen. But I look at them with great affection and say, don't worry, I'll be there someday.
Someday,
and
darling.
We
someday.
all, someday. I still remember Mandy Patinkin's wife, Catherine, at our Weight Watcher session. She didn't care. She's a great actress and writer. She didn't care who was in Weight Watcher, men, women, the people who were running one of the radio stations, and she would strip to her underwear before she got weighed. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do remember that. I remember everything. I have a memory like an elephant, darling. You show me something, I will never forget it.
I know. It was so funny. She thought the jeans would add much too much weight to her.
She's right.
So tell me now,
right.
Of course, we're all nuts. Tell me about the Carlisle show. What are you doing? What can we expect?
I think, I'm going to do my best to kind of parse a little bit of what we're going through in the world right now, and, it's a very crazy time, and and you can't really say that much because you get canceled no matter what you say, right? So I'm going to try to parse through it. Politically correct is very, very difficult. And the thing is, I am going to try to parse through all of that. And the thing that's great about these shows that I do, whether it's at the Carlisle and it's 100 people or it's at, Princeton and it's 1,000 people or whatever it is, the thing is like in that, it's a safe space. It's like if you kind of come out, if you arrive in the right headspace, you're going to have a good show. And people know it's like out there, whatever's going on out there is going on. What goes on in here is like, it's like Vegas. It's sort of like a very sacred space, I think, with the audience. And I'm not exactly, it's funny, Joan, like, I don't think my strength, though I have a million monologues that I need to speak. And I have punchlines and jokes like any other comic out there. But I feel like what I do the best is kind of just talk. I'm very good at talking. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute cards on the table before the shows. And people are going to write questions on the back of the cards. I'm going to collect them. And I'll look at the cards. I'll look at them on stage. I'll organize them a little bit. I'll see, because I feel like that, leaving it open like that, leaving it kind of amorphous and the ability for me to just kind of address a question, rather than, raise the lights and point at people and, no. Audience participation, no. But a question that came 20 minutes ago from an audience member written on a card, I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a fun thing, I think,
I'm talking to Isaac Mizrahi. He's going to be back at the Cafe Carlisle. They are opening, and his new show in person, March 1st through the 12th. So doing something like this, which you truly love and are so good at, are you still looking for change in your life, or does this satisfy you?
It's such a good question. Boy, that's why you're Joan Hamburg, because you have such good questions. And I mean that. I'm going to say this, which is, I don't know what this sounds like, but I feel like, every day I look for something different, every single day, Joan. I mean that. And of course, and by the way, and I love my creature comforts. I love my dogs. I love cooking. I love, I don't know what, my chair. I have this wonderful chair that I wish for in Bridgehampton. And it's so great. It's like you can read in this chair, you can watch it. It's the best thing. And I love those things. But unless something new happens, right? I think like creativity is everything. Expression is everything in my life. And the minute that goes, then I'm finished, But for the moment, that's all I look for is newness, That's my motto. My personal motto is never boring, never bored. Like that's what I say to myself, like literally every day. Never boring, never bored,
But even, Isaac, during the pandemic, when you, who are Mr. Congeniality and bigger than life, how did you deal with that?
One thing, I have to say, I had a million Zoom. I had like regular cocktails with like several different friends.
Smart.
My friend
right.
Mark Morris and a few dancers, and I had a regular Thursday. And then I had a regular with Robert Couturier on Tuesdays and Cecile and all these friends. We had regular cocktails on Zoom. That's one way. The other thing is, I was bike riding every single day, even in the freezing cold. Like I have these heated gloves and these heated socks. Darling, I went bike riding this morning in Bridgehampton for an hour. I do that every single day in the freezing cold, in the boiling hot. I don't care what happens. But that's an important thing to stay active. You have to keep moving, darling.
Keep your head going.
Keep moving.
All right, so Isaac goes out on his bicycle, which I want to hear about in the freezing cold, Zooms with friends, and cooks and lives a life. So you bike like even today. As we're talking, it's cold and nasty.
But except the thing is, it keeps your mind moving, it keeps you moving. And that's really, really important. And like everybody else during these past 2 years, I felt confusion and despair and dread, and you have to do whatever it takes to get through that. And I mean it. It's like, people drink and they take pills. And by the way, I do plenty of that, I love a good cocktail. I love a Xanax, darling. Sometimes you just need those things. And that's fine. Nobody judges anybody. Everybody does whatever they have to do. And so, but like I was going to say, like the rest of the world, I think, it's sink or swim, my dear. You either find stuff or you're going to sink, and that's not a good thing. And the further you let that go, the harder it is to get back, And I know that from personal experience because I was really depressed as a kid. I had a really rough childhood. I was very depressed.
Well, when you live in a tight community and you don't conform to what people think one should be, it's tough for kids.
Yes.
And you really
absolutely.
lived through a hard time. You had loving people around you, but they didn't get who you were.
No. And it was lucky that I had those people around me and that I was born and that I was taught, to kind of trust my own inner feelings because that's what if you trust that you're going to be okay eventually, I'm not kidding. And then, when I was a teenager, when I was 20 years old, I moved out of the house and everything just changed in my life. When I was 13, I went to performing arts high school. That really changed my life. That changed the whole trajectory of my life. It showed me that it was, that it was possible to find like-minded people who loved theater and the arts, etc. And, I think that's the most important thing to me. Arts education, art, for young people, like that is what is going to save so many people, I don't know why. Somehow, like, art is not as important as, like, gym or sports or something like that, and it needs to be because there are as many artists as there are athletes, and I feel like we have to cultivate them,
And what's important, too, that you got into this school where you fit in and where you belonged and you felt like-minded souls. But kids who are different, who don't have that opportunity, they have a really tough time getting through high school.
Dangerous. I know, darling.
It's dangerous
so
for children.
Yes, it is. It is. God knows what would have happened to me, and I really mean that, if I had not been fortunate enough to find that school. I don't know what would have happened to me. I don't know what would have happened. I think about it all the time, but I'm lucky, just the luckiest, right? The
Well,
luckiest.
and you had a lot of talent too, and you
Oh,
had
thank
enough belief in your own ability to make it. You know, when a lot
Wow.
of kids would have just been so depressed and gone another way, you didn't. And I'm always amazed by the kind of inner strength that took, because who's more vulnerable than a teenager
Well,
who
you
doesn't
said it,
feel he
darling.
or
You
she
said it.
belongs?
You
So-
said it, dear. You really said that. You said a mouthful. That is the truth.
But you did it, and you continue
it.
to do it,
And
right? And
yes,
you're
exactly.
evolving
Mhm.
constantly, which
Absolutely.
is fantastic. You know, you
Mhm.
understand what change is all about, and you're not afraid now. Even if you are, you go for it.
Right. This is the thing about it, Joan. Like, you know, that's what I always say about my life. My life, like, it showed me optimism. It taught me optimism, you know, from whence I came. And then just the fates took me to performing arts, and they were like, hey, be optimistic because something good is coming, right? And then I went from there into fashion, and everything just, it's like this kind of, you pull yourself forward. You pull yourself forward because of optimism. And I feel like that's what's dangerous with kids. You know, you kind of want them to know that it's going to get better. You need them to understand that, because I worry so much about the kids that don't get into performing arts high school or something, or that don't find calling, you know, that's what I worry about.
Well, we're lucky that we have you, and you can go to the Carlisle and celebrate a return to a normal life, to laugh, to feel happy, and to see this brand new show called In Person. Isaac Mizrahi, all the best to you. I'll see you very
I love
soon.
you, Joan.
Take care, darling.
Mwah.
All the
right,
best.
honey.
I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC. There's much more to come.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The First Lady of New York Radio.
This is Ask Joan.
I know now that people are emerging from COVID, little baby steps at a time, we do get a lot of calls as what's good to do. And people still feel outdoor stuff is good and space is good. If you've never seen the Orchid Show at the New York Botanical Gardens, I want to just remind you, it's dazzling. The gardens are spectacular. Bronx River Parkway in the Bronx. You can go on to nybg.org. Advanced tickets is really recommended. It's very popular. Now, some of the exhibits are indoors, but there's a lot outside. Right now, they still want you to show the vaccine certificate. So that could change because it's changing constantly. But don't go without it unless you call them and find out. The ticket prices for the garden and the Orchid Show are $30 for the grown-ups, $28 for the kids or students and older people. And there's a tram tour, all that's included, and it's a lot of fun. It's something really beautiful. Whenever I go, of course, I always buy too much, but orchids, you know, when they die, you just cut them back and they come again. Beautiful towers of orange, yellow, green, and undulating fields of white, plumes of purple. It's really quite spectacular. And there's tunnels of light, all kinds of works and information. You'll see the collections that people have, rare and iconic specimens. And sometimes if you go, and they have night exhibits sometimes with music and cash bars and food. They have a lot of orchid evenings, and it will go through, some of them the end of March, and a lot of them in April. And then, of course, you go to the shop and you can buy whatever you want. And the prices are pretty realistic. So an activity, the Orchid Show at New York Botanic Gardens, and it will be, check it out. I want you to check it out online so you know when you can go and when they're having all their stuff. nybg.org. And I see that we're coming up to the 3 o'clock. So let me thank you for being part of the Joan Hamburg Show. We do this every single Sunday, starting at 2 o'clock. And you can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. And don't forget our 2 podcasts. We podcast the show, and we have another podcast called Let Me Tell You. But right now, enjoy the rest of Sunday. Enjoy all the good programming on WABC. And we'll get together again a week from today. I'm Joan Hamburg. Stay tuned.